Hello everyone and welcome to Van Tech Corner. In this video, let's take a look at the GPON XFP module from Nokia, the G010SA, and this one had been flashed with a custom OpenWRT version that was done by some of the Chinese resellers. So this is a GPON module with an SC-APC connector, as you can see from here. So in this videos, I'm going to replace my internet service providers ONT or ONU, and currently is VNPT from Vietnam, with the GPON XFP module and then the 2.5 gigabit MADA converter. And at the end, we're going to set up a working internet connection with the NanoPi R6S. So this is my ISP providers ONT, ONU. It comes with wireless connection as well. And right now the device already in the bridge mode. So usually you will have some kind of information provided here, like your account numbers, and then you have a password for PPOE. And at the back of it, you will have the fiber cable from your internet service provider. Go to this one. You will also have the model like iGate GW040H, and then MAC address as well as serial number, GPON serial number, as well as your hardware and software version. So please bear in mind that those information are confident, and it is not advised to publish or share this information on the internet. So my videos is only for demonstration purposes. So you shouldn't do like me, you should hide all of this information. So now the first thing we want to do is to remove the fiber cable from the ONT, and please do it gently because you may break the fiber cable. After that, remove it from the connector. You can see that the internet service provider equipment is also using the SC-APC connector. Alright, so now let's remove the power cable. Next, I'm going to connect the fiber cable to the GPON XFP module. It will be connected like this. Alright, very good. And now let's connect it to the XFP cage or the XFP port on the 2.5 gig MADA converter. According to some information on the internet, the Nokia G010S supports both 1 gigabit and 2.5 gigabit. So in this videos, I will also check it out if the module is really support 2.5 or it's only support 1 gigabit. Now we will need to configure this XFP module, or in the other words, we're going to copy all of the MAC address, serial numbers, or something like that, and put it on this XFP module so that it can work with your OLT. At this step, if you are using OpenWRT and you know how to access your modem behind that, you can directly connect the R6S to the MADA converter. But let's say you are not using OpenWRT and you don't know how to configure the GPON XFP module, then you can connect this Ethernet port to your computer with an Ethernet cable. So this is the cable from my computer. Let's put it in, and after that we are going to connect the power cable. So we can see that it's been power on, and we have some LED light up right here. So currently the link speed of the Ethernet is 2.5 gigabit or 2500 Mbps, and the optic link is still not on, which means the connection is not up yet, so we need to wait for it. Let's go back to the computers and go to the network and internet settings. After that, go to change adapter option. The Nokia G010S is having an IP address of 192.168.1.10. Therefore, we will need to configure an IPv4 address in the same subnet. So we put it 192.168.1 and then .15 for example, and let's log in. Now let's try to ping 192.168.1.10, and perfect, we already have the response. So now let's log in to 192.168.1.10, and here we are, the Lucy page of the GPON's XRP module. So by default, there is no password and the username is root. So you will know that this one is an old version of OpenWRT. So let's click the login button. Very good. We can see some of the basics information like the model. We have the hardware version, and actually this one has been pre-configured from my previous setting. So now in order to navigate easily, we need to change the language to English. So if this is your first time using this, you need to go to this one, this option, and then let's see. You need to go to this interface and change it to English and hit save and apply. Alright, so nothing happened, so we need to wait for it first. Unfortunately, we will need to do the second time to make it English. So this is some of the problem with the GPON XRP module that I have seen after some time of uses. Now if we go back to the GPON XRP module, we can see that the optic link is now up, which means the fiber connection is already up. Alright, so let's continue to configuration. Now let's take a look at the Lucy page and see what do we have. We have the hostname in Nokia, and then the model is G010SA. We have the firmware version which we already configured previously, and the kernel version is 3.10, which is very old already. Right here we can see the GPON status, and unfortunately this one was done in Chinese, so there are no translations available. But we can see the authenticate status is 05, but this is the false status anyway, because my OLT is Alcatel Lucent. So we can see the transmit power of the laser, the CPU temperatures, and we can see that the network connection is 2.5 or 2500 M. Alright, so this is some of the basic one, and on the network interfaces we don't have anything much, just a very typical one. So by right, you shouldn't touch this one, because if you wrongly change the IP address of the module, you will need to use UART to change it back. So you better not to change it. So the GPON tab is the most important thing of this module. And right here, you can change device serial numbers like shortwave version and something like that. And down below, we can have an overview of the device and the MAC address. This one should be some of the standards settings, and this one right here should be the message from your XRP module. The last one should be the temperatures. So first of all, let's go and see what is the status right now. So you can see that this is the GPON serial number, and right now it is still one of the old configuration, which is not correct. And the authenticate status is 05, but this is the false alarm. That's why the OLT is not detected. Okay. Now we will configure the GPON XRP module so that it can work, and then we are going to set up an internet connection. So let's go to GPON and go to the first tab where you can put the setting there. So the GPON serial number will be the serial number of your internet service provider's ONT. So in this case, alright, so as I have shown you, my device serial number will be this one. So the LOID, my internet service provider doesn't use this, so I don't need to fill in. And then for the OLID, check host or password, it is not being used as well, so I will just ignore it. For the PLOAM passwords, actually this one is the SLID that is used by my internet service provider. So I will need to fill in my own. So this is my SLIDs or PLOAM password, and usually this will be the account number. So the next tab is the VLAN configurations, and if you want to manually configure the VLAN, you need to tick on this button, and right here you can put the default PVID. For example, you want to force the VLAN to be VLAN 35 or VLAN 11 or something else, then you need to put it. But if you don't want to use VLAN, then you just ignore this one. So let's say if you want to have a transparent VLAN, which means all of the VLAN from your OLT will go to your ONU or go to the XFP module, then you don't need to configure it. And next we have this IGMP v3 for those who want to use IPTV. I'm not using IPTV, so I will just ignore this one. So right here we can change some advanced configurations such as the vendor ID or either the point vendor ID. We have equipment ID or models, and then we have the ONT hardware version, and this one will be the ONT software. So usually you will need to match the information. Depends on what of the internet service provider you are using. So in my case, I don't need to use this one. So I just put everything a default. Alright. And then let's see what else. So basically that's it. Right now I believe I can press save and apply. Alright, and that's it. We can see that the chain is being saved to the GPON XFP module, and let's check the status later. Very good. Now we already have an update. So let's go to GPONs and then the message center and see. We can see that the GPON serial number is still the old one, so we will need to restart the GPON XFP module so that the change can take effect. But before doing that, I'm going to change the root password of this module. Alright, so it will be a new one. And that's it. Let's hit save and apply. And next, let's go to system and reboot the device. Perform reboot, and that's it. Now let's ping the device and see when it is ready for the next test. Very good, we can see that the device is up and running, and now let's log back into the Nokia GPON routers. For some reasons, I can see that the firmware version is not reset to default, but anyway, we can see that everything should be up and running right now. So let's go to the GPON message center and see what is the update right now. And as you can see, the GPON serial number has been changed to this one, and then the POAM password has been changed to this one as well. So right here we can see the authenticate status is O5, which means everything is working so far. And here the system already detects the OLT model, which is ALCL or Alcatel-Lucent, and we can see that this is the VLAN that is being used by my OLT, or it's being used by my internet service provider, which is 413 and 4001. So right now I can configure the next step, which is the PPOE on my router. So now I'm going to remove the Ethernet cable from the media converters and connect the LAN port to my NanoPi R6S. This will be like this one. And then my PC will be connected to the LAN port number 1. Lastly, let's connect the power cable to turn on the NanoPi R6S. Now let's go back to the computers and continue the setup. So first of all, let's go back to the network interfaces, and then let's change it to DHCP client. And we should be receiving an IPv4 address from the NanoPi R6S, and that's it. It's up and running really well. So let's go to 192.168.2.1. So this is the NanoPi R6 and right now let's go to the network interfaces and let's configure the internet connection. Alright, so this is the network interfaces that we have, and let's go to the devices tab. Usually my internet service provider runs their PoE connections on VLAN 11. So by right, you should go and add a new VLAN right here. Select the base device in the one port, which is Ethernet 2, and name the VLAN ID to be 11. So this will be the common VLAN settings if you are using the ONTs or ONU provided by the ISP. However, when I'm using the GPON XRP module, it detects the VLAN from the OLT, and in this case it is 413. So I will need to tag this VLAN instead of VLAN 11. So please bear in mind that those VLANs are different from one to another, and you will need to try perhaps one by one until everything is working as expected. Alright, so VLAN IDs, it will be 413. Let me see. Yes, correct. And then everything to leave it there is save and apply. So now let's go back to the interfaces, click on the edit button of the one port, change the protocol to PPOE switch protocol, select the device at this one Ethernet 2.413 and fill in the PPOE username and password. Very good, let's make sure that the firewall settings is the one zone and GSCP is disabled. So hit save and then save and apply. And after that, the internet connection should be up and running. So let's wait for it. Alright, we have some TX but no RX. So let's be patient. Alright. So unfortunately, the connections are not successful. So I'm going to add a new interface and I will name it maybe XRP. I will put the protocol to be a static IP address, and for the device it will be the one port, and I will hit create device. So the IPv4 address will be 192.168.1.maybe 15 so that I can reach the GPON XRP module, put its next mask right here, and on the firewall setting, make sure it's the one firewall zone, hit save and then save and apply. So now we should be able to reach the XRP module at 192.168.1.10, and let's see what was wrong. So we can see that the authenticate status is 05, and on the GPON message we should be seeing the same. We have 413 and then 4001. So I can see that the firmware version is still the Viettel one, so it should be an old configuration that I will need to clean up. So let's do it together. So right here, the GPON serial numbers and the PLOAM passwords all good. So how about the VLAN? I don't need to do anything from here. And then IGMP is all good. And for this one, let me see. So this one will be restore the setting to Gfile. So let's do it to reset the setting to default one. As I remember, I also forget to turn on this button to change it to the transparent mode. So I will also select this one as well. And now let's hit save and apply. So after this, let's go to system, reboot, and let's reboot the GPON XRP module. And let's see if we have a working internet connection. We already got the connection. Let's go back. to the GPON. Let's log back in. So we can see that the firmware version has been reverted to the default configuration, which is the 6BA something, and then we can see that the authenticate status is still 03. So let's go to the GPON and let's see what is the message. Alright, so just now it already changed to 05 and everything should be working so far. So on this side, let me see, let's refresh the page and restart the PoE connection. Connection attempt failed, and it is unknown URL, but we have some TX and RX packets. So let's wait for it, and I hope that it should be up and running in a few seconds. I can see that the package for RX in non-stop resettings. Not sure what is going wrong right here, but it should be some problem with the R6 ad as well. So let's wait for some minutes and let's check it out. So after some minutes of waiting, we can see that the PoE connection is up and running. Very good. So as usual, let's have a speed test and let's see what do we got. I will put it here. Let's go. Very good, we are running at 310 Mbps and this is the internet plan that I signed up with my ISP. Everything is working as expected and we have very good throughput. We can see that the traffic is also updated on the interface right here. So let's go back to the GPON XRP module and see the configuration. So the status overview, this is the default firmware versions and the uptime is 5 minutes, and we have the authenticate status is 05, is it true, and the link speed of the XRP module is 2.5 gigabit. So on the GPON, this is my current setting. So right here I have the GPON serial number, the PLOAM password right here, and for the VLAN I put this one. So I believe it should be how to configure the VLAN in transparent mode. And then let's see, for the IGMP snooping or something like that, I just leave it blank. For the advanced configuration, everything is unchecked, which means I'm not using any manual setting. So everything is still default one. And just now what I did is click on this button to reset all of the shortwave to the default configuration. Alright, so that's it. And then right here everything is still blank. For the MAC address of the XRP, it is still the default one. I have yet to touch anything. So we can see that everything is working as expected. So now let's run the speed test again, and I will also connect to the GPON XRP module with SSH and let's check the CPU uses. Alright, so this is PuTTY, so 192.168.1.10 and accept, so root and the password. Alright, so this is the command line interface of the Nokia GPON XRP module. So we have OpenWRT. So it said that it is 14.07 LTQ Latin edition for GPON. So if we run the cat proc CPUs in 4, so we can see that the system types is Falcon revision A22. So right here we have some of the basics info, and then cat/etc/os. Alright, then nothing there. So this is the Linux kernels, and if we go to top ones and cd bin, we have a lot of program right here, so you can play around with this one as well. But now what I want to check is the top command to see the CPU usage. Alright, so this is the Nokia G Point, and then we will have another connection for the NanoPi R6S. So 192.168.2.1 logs in. So this is friendly WRTs of the NanoPi R6S. Very good. Let's run the top command. Let's proceed with the speed test. So right now we can see that the GPON is around 84% CPU idle, and when we reach 300 Mbps, the CPU idles is 60 and then it goes back to 88. So I believe that the CPU utilization has nothing to do with the GPON XFP module. So right now with around 300 Mbps, it is 62% idle. So we still have a lot of room for it. Alright, so let's run the test again so that you can see the number yourself. So we can see that without load, sometimes the CPU idle go back to 59 or something and 86. So perhaps the CPU utilization is not really important for the GPON XFP module. So before ending the video, let's go back to the system status overview and take a look. So right now the CPU is 72 degrees Celsius, and if I'm not mistaken, this will be the temperatures for the laser module. It is 55 degrees Celsius. So far we have taken a look at the Nokia GPON XFP module, the G010SA, and I have also shown you how I replace my internet service provider ONT with this GPON XFP module. The value that I use, such as the GPON serial numbers and the PLOAM password, is up to my internet service provider, the OLTs, and also the ONT. For your case, your internet service provider may require all the forms of information such as the hardware version, software version, device MAC address, and something like that. The GPON XFP module works for my internet service provider, but it doesn't mean it will work for your internet service provider. Therefore, you will need to study on your own and understand about the OLT, ONT, and what kind of information being used for the authentication. And after that, you will need to find a compatible XFP module or another third-party ONT. Alright, so some of you may ask me where to buy this GPON XFP module. Well, right now we have two versions. One is the GPON XFP module from Nokia, the G010SA with a stock firmware. In order to configure this module, you will need some knowledge about edit edge and also command line interface. However, you should be able to find this information on the OpenWRT forum and also some of the link that I will put in the video description. The other type of the Nokia G010SA is the one that is sold by some of the Chinese marketplace such as Taobao or AliExpress. And usually, the module has been flashed with a custom OpenWRT version, and they also come with some Chinese work. However, this is very easy to use, and you just need to log into Lucy like what I did and then change the parameters or the serial number, device MAC address, and something like that. Alright, so for this type of module, you can find it on AliExpress, Taobao, and other marketplace. Alright, so that will be all for this video, and I hope it will be useful for you. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.